Carolyn, let me know. I'm about to click it.
Real
Go
one.
ahead. I'll let you know.
Okay, according to my screen, we're live.
You're live.
Okay, thank you. Good evening and welcome to Love Unquarantined. It's the NABFEME COVID-19 Love Unquarantined. It's the NABFEME, I keep seeing stuff clicking here. It's the NABFEME COVID-19 seminar and fundraiser. One of the things that I like about this is like every time it's different. I see somebody just saying, is the webinar on now? Yes, it is on now. We are live now. My name is Johnny Walker. I am president and founder of NABFEME. NABFEME is the National Association of Black Female Executives in Music and Entertainment. We are a nonprofit networking empowerment and resource base for women in the business of music and entertainment. We're currently celebrating our 20th anniversary. Been in the game 20 years. We've been screaming, shouting, pulling, and begging empowerment, education, sisterhood, camaraderie, working together, networking. This is what we've been doing for the past 20 years, and we will continue to do it, which led us to where we are today with the Love Unquarantined seminar series. This particular series obviously evolved from coronavirus, COVID-19, the shutdowns, the lockdowns, as I've heard some of you put it. And we just felt as we came together in one of our meetings, we decided that if we are going to be on lockdown, does that mean we can't share love? Does that mean we can't provide comfort to someone else? Does that mean social distancing? Does that mean we cannot share information? And so at that point, we decided, let's create something that says love and support should never be on lockdown. Love and support should be open. And so that is what this is all about. Our ability to communicate support, share love, do what we can to help our brothers and our sisters, especially those in entertainment that are affected by this virus, that if we can do some things to help their process along, especially dealing with the shutdowns. And I want to change my screen here just for a second so that just want to make sure I can see everything that everybody else sees. There you go. So we have an incredible lineup of guests today that will be speaking to you. I'm going to let them tell you who they are. Most of them I know you know. Most of them I know you have seen their work or you have had the opportunity to consume their work. So it's going to be a pleasure hearing from them. The other side of the coin is so that everybody knows this is not an interview. This is a conversation. This is a conversation from some very powerful brothers who are not only in entertainment, but they're also in business. And we thought that it was very important to bring a youthful or young perspective, because this virus is not only just affecting us, say the parents or the people that are CEOs of businesses or what have you, it's affecting our families, it's affecting our children. So we wanted to get a perspective from, say, the younger end or the other generation. Before we jump into introducing our guests, we do have a disclaimer that we have to share with you, and that is NABFEME, as I said earlier, is the National Association of Black Female Executives in Music and Entertainment. The views and opinions that are expressed during this seminar are those of the speakers, and they do not necessarily reflect any official endorsement or any official position of NABFEME or any of our officers. We are not responsible for the accuracy of any comments or any information that is shared during this broadcast. In addition, we're not responsible for any decisions that you make based on any information that you may have heard on this program. Okay. Also, we want to quickly tell you about the CARES Act 2020. It's a federally funded program, but it is managed by state. It is a program that allows any self-employed individual, and that certainly applies to us, in entertainment, booking shows and stuff like that. If you get a 1099 and not a W-2, this applies to you. So you go to your state's Department of Labor, and you should see the CARES Act 2020. It is a result of the coronavirus, COVID-19, and it is a way for you to file for unemployment and file a claim. A way for you to file a claim and receive unemployment funding. But like I said, every state handles it differently. So you want to go to your particular state and look for the CARES Act 2020. All right. So let's meet the amazing people that we have with us today. One other thing I want to add before we get started. We've asked all of our guests to mute their phones when they're not talking. That helps us to minimize the noise. And we are asking that you only have one electronic device in the room while the broadcast is going on. That too helps us to minimize the noise a bit. So, like I said, incredibly lineup of guests. I'm going to look at my screen, and I'm starting my far left. He may not be on the far left on your screen, but Robert Johnson is on the left of my screen. So I'm going to start with you, Robert, and just quickly, hey, give us just a quick hello. Tell us who you are, what you do, and I want every one of our guests to do the same. And after we do that, then we'll come back and get into the conversation.
Hello, my name is Robert Johnson. Retired. I retired at 50 years old 5 years ago. Was in the consumer products and food industry, Procter & Gamble, Kraft Foods. 25 years of Kraft, 14 assignments, 5 times in headquarters, retired as VP at 50. I've always had a parallel career as a philanthropist and fundraising side. So I just rotated off of being the vice president of our vice chairperson for the Smithsonian's Asian Pacific American Center in DC. I'm originally a New Yorker who was raised in Missouri, who now lives in California. Next.
So next, James D-Train Williams. I'm looking at my screen. I don't know if my screen looks the same as yours.
I'm far right, but
Okay. I don't think it looks the same.
on my screen anyway.
Okay.
James D-Train Williams, entertainer, singer, vocalist, producer, songwriter. Over 38 years in the record industry, worked with everybody from Beyonce to Jay-Z to Luther and Michael Jackson, and been blessed and fortunate to have a good time here in the record industry for a good 38 years, and also had stints in the jingle industry, doing jingles and television commercials for a few years. Was the voice of Pokemon television show. Had an audience with the Pope in 2015 in Madison Square Garden. Pope Francis requested me there, and I sang for him, and then later on singing for Cardinal Dolan. So I had a nice affiliation with the Catholic Church. Now I find myself full circle, coming back into the music industry because it's in our hands now. We are not controlled by record industries and executives and radio stations. We have YouTube, Facebook, and so many other avenues to create our music and exploit it on. So I just thought I'd dip my feet back into the pool. So I want to say to one and all, thank you very much for having me here today. It's wonderful to be here. People always say, it's good to see you, man. I like to say, it's good to be seen.
Heart Attack, Michael Maison.
Bam. Okay, I'm Michael Maison, aka DJ Heart Attack. Started in the business as a child, way back when. Got into radio in 1983 at a station called WRAP. The station got merged over to another station, which was 103 Jams, with some great people: Ernie Jackson, Janet Armstead, Steve Crumley and also Chester Benton. For those that work with me, I also had to dab my hands in producing a couple of artists. I say independent, no-name artists. Get them launched off. Records went across the board. Did some remixes for artists like Nonchalant. Uh, my boy from Blackstreet. I'm trying to remember his name right off the bat, but there's a lot of people that I did a lot of stuff with while I was working in radio. Got, how you say, fired. Uh, Went into the car business for 16 years. Didn't love it, didn't like it, but I stayed there. Then all of a sudden, an opportunity came where I was brought back into radio at Norfolk State University. And they came up with this wonderful format of urban alternative, which also gives an opportunity to bring in new music, new artists, unsigned artists, artists who have been on the label, on labels who right now trying to find somewhere to be played, and also with the platform of having those independent no-name artists who, you know how back in the day the record industry or you're trying to get signed, they always say you, hey man, you how many plays, where you getting played at? Well, now we have that platform where we also gave me the opportunity to pick up Women Who Jam, which is one of the programs that I thank Johnny for of having that on, and that's also with having that program. It opened up the doors for us to get more people to know about music. Been Billboard nominated 8 times, won 4 years straight in a row. Also a BRE recipient. So my background in music is I can play violin, violoncello, harp, bass, flute, and harp. But the funny thing is, I got into music to show my love and show appreciation and get my artists like Glenn and D Train and all y'all on back on the radio.
There it is. There it is. KC. KC.
Hey. Hey, boss lady, how you doing?
Good. Always a pleasure to see you.
Oh, hey, like D-Train said, you know, it's better seen than not viewed. But Kirk K.C. Clayton, born and raised here in Memphis, Tennessee, representing always. Producer, songwriter, musical director, working with the likes of Function and Howard Hewitt and Shalimar, Glenn Jones, Sorrell, and you know, the list goes on. You know, all of what I call, you know, the real musicians, real artists. Old school is going to be around, you know, forever. And also a adjunct professor at the University of Memphis, where I teach music business, intro to music industry, to somewhat try to help the new generation understand the real business of music, not just being an artist, but all the opportunities behind the scenes to have a career in this industry, because everyone is not going to be a Glenn Jones or a D Train. But at the same time, doesn't mean that you can't have, you know, a successful career in this industry. So very glad to be a part of this situation.
Thank you so much. Glenn.
Hi, I'm Glenn Jones. How's everybody doing? I've been in the business for 30 plus years. I heard D-Train say 38 years. So I'm not going to outdo him. I don't want people to think I'm older than he is, but I probably am. But no, I've been a recording artist for over 3 decades, and I'm a writer, songwriter, and a producer, and an entertainer, music publisher. I produced records on myself. I've got some #1 records, top 5 records. I also come from the church, from gospel. I love gospel. And my first recording experience was with Reverend James Cleveland producing me years and years ago out in LA at Ray Charles' studio. And I produced a record on the Canton Spirituals, which was nominated for a Grammy and also won a Stellar Award. And I'm the founder of an organization called the Love Jones Foundation, which we cater to the seniors. You know, we call them the Forgotten Seniors. We go into the facilities and we love on them. I take my band in there, my unit, and I play songs from Frank Sinatra to Nat King Cole to whatever they want to hear. And also, I have a new entertainment company called TRE, Talent Room Entertainment. I'm the CEO of that. And I'm just I'm glad to be a part of this panel. I've known KC for a lot of years, and D, I mean, we go way, way back, man, to the New York days. He was talking about Hubert Eves, and I worked with Hubert several times. So just glad to be a part of this today.
And thank you so much. And as you know, the lifeblood of any culture, the lifeblood of anything is its ability to recreate itself. So we've heard the wonderful legacies that you guys have built, but there's always tomorrow, which is why I asked Youngblood to come on. Let me just introduce him properly. He is my grandson, but he also, I would say, in interaction with what you guys have done this past fall, conducted I believe it's his high school orchestra, the high school concert. He served as the conductor for the actual concert, or some songs in the concert. I don't want to get it wrong, but anyway, Mr. Hardy, it's your turn, and you might want to clean up what I just said if I didn't say it right.
My name is Jay Hardy. I'm a senior in high school. As my grandmother said, I do conduct my band at my high school, and I'm also a member of the jazz band and orchestra. And I'm just here to give the youth's perspective on this whole COVID-19 situation, and I'm here to gain knowledge from people who have more experience than me.
All right, you guys heard that. He said gain more knowledge from people that have more experience than me. Really quickly, we have two people that are part of our organization. I'll give them a second to shout themselves out so they can say hi, so you'll know that they're there. We got one on the east and one on the west. Let's go to the east, Cynthia.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm not going to say too much at all because we said the men lead today, so I'm not going to give a long introduction. I'm just glad to be on the sideline to give shout outs, and going to tell you who's watching and give shout outs to those folks. I do want to thank D-Train and Glenn for just being a part of my beginnings. I do book a lot of artists. I do a lot, and in my very, very beginnings, they were there for me at a small venue, and then I continue to grow and continue to stay connected. And when I know another line to connect them to, I'm always there. So glad to have somebody else that's spinning records and meeting everybody else that's on the line. And I'm a part of NABFEME. That's my biggest role here. I'm a part of NABFEME, and been helping to represent the ladies, and I'm here in Delaware. So hello everyone, and I can't wait to hear this conversation with the men. So I'm shutting up, and people say I can do that. Here I go.
All right, Carolyn, out in LA.
Hello, everybody. My name is Carolyn Brewer, also known as Bree. I am an industry vet, former marketing and promotion director for several independent labels. I also have my own entertainment all-purpose company, Sky Blue Rain Entertainment. I am the Vice President West of Operations for NABFEME, and also the Los Angeles Director for NABFEME as well. So hello to everybody, and welcome to all of our rocks.
Thanks so much, Carolyn. So now we know who everybody is, kind of know where everybody's coming from. I think we can jumpstart the conversation. I'm going to jumpstart it from a financial standpoint, because that way, Robert, no, you can jump right in. So let's talk about the shutdowns, the closings, venues, events, cancellations. All of that is impacting everybody's income. For my grandson, the shutdowns, the cancellations means no graduation, means no prom. So everybody is affected in some way here. Glenn, tour. We'll call it postponed. We're not going to say it's gone. We'll say it's postponed.
Okay, thank you.
All of the postponements. So you guys, Kurt, we talked the other day. You said, hey, everybody performing online now. So who coming to the concert. So just jump in, guys. Talk about how the cancellations, the postponements, in my head, I was saying the other day that the technology, obviously it's very great, but is it a savior or is it a killer? Because obviously if I can watch Glenn Jones perform in my living room and I ain't got to get dressed to go see him, that might be good for me as a promoter. Well, I don't want to pay Glenn Jones because he was on Instagram last night. So jump in, guys, because you see what type of vacuum this whole thing has created. So I'm gonna turn it on to the guys now.
Well, it's been difficult. Actually, my shutdown came, the early part of March. I was due to go to Detroit. I had a gig there with Angela Winbush, and the rest of my, spring and summer and all that stuff was pretty booked up all the way up to December, which I'm hoping that by December things will have cleared up because I'm scheduled to go to South Africa for a tour in December. But it's definitely a financial drag. Things go on. We have bills to pay, and doing what we do, we are independent. We're independent contractors, you should say. And when you don't work, when you don't gig, things tighten up a little bit. But thank God, there's royalties from publishing and songwriters and all that kind of stuff and sound exchange. So there is some income coming in, but it's an adjustment because the things that you are used to doing, you have to do them differently. And even though I can have a concert from my living room, which I have done that, matter of fact, it's going to air tonight at 10 o'clock on. But it's not the same. It's not the same. And even though I miss the money, I miss the interaction with my fans and singing and playing with the band, doing it, the way we're used to doing it.
Yeah, I can attest to that a little bit. My entire class schedule is completely online. All of my classes are via a computer screen, and so I've basically completely lost all social interaction with my friends and my peers at school. So
Yeah.
it just completely messes things up, and it makes it hard to get those same social interactions that I would have gotten if I were in school.
Yeah, and I can kind of concur exactly what both of them said, because I'm coming from both sides. Because from the educational side, I literally just did my finals project or my finals class last night via Zoom with my students at the University of Memphis, which was totally different from Johnny. As you know, my class is really an interactive class where it's hands-on, where I normally would put them into small groups. And as a small group, they would have to write, produce, and market a song to me and my panel of experts. And Johnny has been part of that panel. And this year, because of COVID, they were not able to do that project. So I had to kind of in midstream come up with an actual quiz about the music industry, and for them, they loved the quiz, but they were also disappointed that they didn't get the opportunity that other classes that I've taught, and being able to create, music collectively and see what they come up with at the same time, get that commentary from people like Johnny and people. And also, just like with Glenn, it was kind of like the same situation for me, where I was actually supposed to go to London twice in late March, and both of them were canceled back to back. One was going to be with Howard Hewitt, and then I was going to come back 2 weeks later with Regina Bell. And both of them, and everybody was kind of like watching the news, trying to see, okay, are we good? Are we not good? And at the same time, like Glenn said, musicians, we are, we're creatures of habit. And one thing about us, even when it comes to our finances, a lot of times, especially the local musicians, they're living from paycheck to paycheck. They're living from gig to gig. There is no health care plan. There is no plan B a lot of times. So a lot of times, and most times when we already looking on our sheet and we know we got X amount of days, we're already counting up our income. We're counting up our funds. We already know what bill we're gonna pay, which one we can hold off on. Stop me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
So we try to, okay, well, I got this gig coming up, in mid-month, so let's put that one on hold because I know I got X amount coming in. And when this hit, it threw everybody off. But I guess the scariest part of it was for myself and a lot of musicians that I've talked to was because for us, we normally didn't fall up under that category as regular employers or regular employees or self-employed. For a long time, people just saw what we did as a hobby and not a real job. We've been trying to tell people for years, this is a real job, and luckily the government finally said, okay, yeah, you guys can finally qualify for unemployment and things like that. Not that it's, solved everything, but at the same time, it's been a hard situation because at the end of the day, musicians, we got pride. We want to do what we love to do, and to go back to what Glenn said, it's good that artists like Glenn and D-Train and whoever are performing live, on social media, because one thing that it does is it keeps them in contact with their fans. So when this whole thing is lifted, it makes the fans want to come out and support them even more because they did show that love when they didn't have to show that love.
Right.
So.
Funny thing was, I had the MEAC weekend of the kind of basketball tournament, and midway through, the people came and canceled the whole event, and I had a DJ. I had a DJ at a party that weekend, which was gonna be my birthday weekend, and I was all hyped up, telling everybody, "Yo, come out for my birthday! Come out for my birthday!" And then they called and said, "Yo, they canceled it, postponed." Well, no, it's just canceled. Heart attack. You just got to wait. I said, "Okay, cool." Then I started looking at what was going on by me being at the university. The university also shut down. Then I had to look at how I had these interns that I was training them from ground up, not just saying walk in, go into a studio. Let me teach you from the beginning of when we get a record, how we start this process to get where we are here. And I had to watch 18 students go home to turn around, and now they're emailing me and texting me today saying, what can I do while I'm at home to still get engaged so when I come back, I'm prepared for. And that whole, it's kind of like we're Zooming, we're doing all these other things to try to get the students back connected, but at the same time, this pandemic has hurt us in different ways. For me, I'm now looking for an event that hopefully comes up in August, which normally I draw 50,000 people off, which we call the Funk Fest, but I don't know where the opening is or where we're going to be able to get that amount of people there because, one, they ain't got no money. They lost some of them, majority of them lost their jobs. Majority of them are trying to figure out what to do and how to do. And with this pandemic that's out here right now, it has affected a lot of people. The only part that's good for me right now is that by me being an essential person at the university, at the radio station, I can still go in and change the music, freshen the music, and still be looking for music from artists like my panel here and other people to get on the radio. Because one, I could say it changed the dynamics. Radio has almost became extinct a little bit with Spotify and all these other platforms that now radio has pulled back in. And me being like a little small radio station, ratings-wise, we jumped from the low numbers that now we're in the top 10, and I'm tickled pink to say that, wow, we're up there, but people are paying attention to us. So I'm going to use every platform that I can to keep promoting. If I find out something, we're going to constantly keep and try to be that underdog to win.
Rob looked like he over there reading a manual or something there. And Rob, I know that you would come from a completely, I would say, similar perspective, but totally different perspective, certainly because of your background. But I mean, you can touch on, say, the effects of the coronavirus, but I don't know, maybe more so from a, like I said, financial perspective, that maybe we need to think in terms of other revenue streams or things that we can be doing now, because you guys are breadwinners. You guys, because the theme of this is Black Men Lead. So in terms of other things that families can do, or whether it could be single family homes or whatever, we're dealing with the virus, but by the same token, we need revenue streams. I think I heard somebody say, people lost their jobs, these shows and things that are postponed. Can you just maybe just talk about some different things from your line of work, just some different things that might generate revenue during this downtime? Or even if it doesn't generate revenue now, if it's set up now, it might generate revenue for you later on.
Yeah, I think what we're talking about is a need for what I call a playbook. Do we have our own playbook for when things go wrong? And when I used to try and rehearse what can go wrong with my team and the company, people always thought I was crazy. But one of the things do you know the reason why they clean the deck of the ship when the seas are calm? So you don't slip over the side when the seas get rough, right? And it's like, how do we start practicing when you're at the top of your game and things are calm and you have your playbook for when things are wrong? What I was thinking of, because this is all valuable, because I'm looking at it from the position of, you all perform, there's people who set up the stage, do all that stuff, but I'm thinking it from the companies that fund you. So that's the perspective I'm going off of. Because the dynamics of where the money that's coming from, beyond what you're getting from your audience, the landscape is changing. So I've been on calls and conversations with people from India to Germany to France to US, you name it, making an assessment of multiple industries on who is winning, like what industry is winning and what is losing. There are some things that you think are winning, but they're winning in some components and losing the other. And there's we call it a great pause. We call this the great pause because nobody really knows right now. The ones you think are winning are losing in some other areas, and they may not be netting out that well. So I'm thinking of the advertisers, because you usually have a concert and you usually have Coca-Cola's promoting you, or you're backed by Microsoft or somebody like that. What's happening right now in a great pause is what I call a great reset. So what companies used to pay to sponsor a concert, to sponsor an artist, to pay for travel, to pay for what, all that's being recalculated now. And it was going to be very interesting to see what price companies are willing to pay to sponsor anything. Not that they won't. And you know that they're sharks too. So it's like, what can I sponsor for the least and get the most exposure? And then as an artist, I usually think of you all as business people. The most successful ones are business guys. Is how do I negotiate or position myself to whoever funds a lot of these things, as I can still get you the views and the value so that they don't start cutting down what they at one time used to pay you. And it's a mindset that needs to be developed before a lot of this comes out, because if it isn't developed, when you go back, they're going to say, well, I used to give you this, now it's going to be this, because your crowd's going to be this size. And it may not even be at a proper ratio either. So there's a lot. I'd say there's just a great financial reset with advertisers, sponsors, and other things. I don't want to take up too much time, but how about you go back to the others, and I can always get back to that other question you were talking about. Right?
Well, I think you said something really important. It's a reset. It's almost like our lives are being reset and got to restructure. But hey, I agree with what you're saying 100%. Kurt? Was that Kurt? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it goes back to, everybody's kind of in the same situation. Entertainment is entertainment. And everybody's kind of in that same pattern right now. NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, movie theaters are shut down, every form of entertainment. But at the same time, I think after everybody kind of, it kind of flatlines and we get a stable point, one thing that's going to go back is people are going to still want to be entertained, because that is their getaway from their everyday life. that's part of what our job has been, is when Glenn sings, he's taking someone's mind off of what they've been dealing with for that 2 hours, you know, and that's what we do as entertainers. And I think, in my opinion, and I'm hoping and praying that I'm right, there's going to be even a higher appreciation for the entertainment and a higher demand for it, because we have, you know, people have been deprived of this opportunity to go out and celebrate and things like that. It's just that now I think people will start to consider it more, and even then the safety and how to handle things, even when it comes to the airlines and stuff like that, how you travel and, you know, and how you present things, because this is basically, you woke up a sleeping giant with this whole thing. But at the same time, like you said, like Robert said, yeah, it is time to push the reset button. But at the same time, in pushing that reset button, you're also making sure that, yeah, I truly see the value of a Glenn Jones or a D Train or a Confunction or whomever, and appreciate what they bring to the table and the value that they bring to your, as a promoter, bring what value they bring to your product in that sense.
You know what? If I was a writer today, I'd be, the best music is the songs that are written about pain, that touches anybody. I'm not talking race. I'm just talking period. I'd be like cutting out some songs that, like, whether it's love or value or you name it, I'd be rolling that stuff out big time.
Well, everybody gonna have a song called "I'm Broke."
You know what I think that I look at the glass, you know, you can look at the glass half empty or the glass half full. And I look at it like this: there's no 401k plan in the music industry. There's no retirement plan for us as musicians. There's no one who's going to tell us about investments. So they leave it to the artists so many times because, you know, and Glenn can testify to this, we're babysat in our early years by the record company. They pay our royalties. Our managers make sure that we got our clothing. Everything is done for us. And then we come to a place of, okay, now music's not hot no more. I'm not the face that's in the game. It's a younger guy. Like for me, it was Teddy Riley and New Jack Swing. When they came, you know, it changed the game of music. Nobody didn't want to hear D-Train. They wanted to hear New Jack Swing. They wanted to hear Guy. They wanted to hear Blackstreet. And then, you know, he got his 15 minutes, and then it was Babyface. And everybody wanted to hear love songs and ballads and stuff like that. It changes every 5 or so years, and the faces change, the names change. I think that we are in a place of pause. God has put us in a place of pause, and I think this is where our collective bargaining and reasoning with the universe comes into play, because what happens is we have to say to ourselves, who am I? See, we didn't ask that question before. We were like, well, I'm this, and I'm this, and I do this, and I this. And we define ourselves by what we do instead of who we are. And what this does is takes us back and strips us of everything that we are. Takes your clothes off and leaves you naked in the eyes of God and of man, but mainly yourself. And you have to ask that man in the mirror, who am I? What am I capable of doing? How strong am I to endure this? How will I make it through this? Can I make it through this? How will I support my family? And I find that this is the place for me that I learned to shut up, be still, learn that he's God. And in those moments of learning that he's God and I wasn't speaking, he speaks to me and he gives me ideas and he gives me places to go. He gives me songs to write. As a songwriter, this is the best time of my life. I don't have the gigs. Yeah, my money got cut off. But my thing is, when you got faith, you can return to that, because there's always going to be money. There's always going to be the next gig. Somebody's always going to be calling because they want to hear you sing, Glenn. You know, they're going to want to hear you guys play, Robert. And it's like, it's not going away. It's just on pause right now. And when God puts your life on pause sometimes, he's saying, oh, you thought this was about you. It's not about us. It's not, you know, we could say this got taken away, but what happens is, for all that's taken away, what have we gained? What have we gotten back? What positive comes out of this? Because there's some positive in this, but you have to look and find the positive in this. And when you see the positive, the only way you find something is in the nothing. When you're quiet and you listen, and you're quiet and you listen. Then you can hear the voice of God speaking. You say, oh, that's what this is about. Okay. Because it comes without your opinion. It comes without your judgment. It comes without your classification of what it is. We look at a pandemic and there's so many theories out there saying the government did this to us. Somebody slipped the roofie into the water. It just goes around and around. The blame can go everywhere. I had 5 shows. I was supposed to be at Resorts Casino this month. I was supposed to be in Corfu, Greece in June. I'm supposed to be in Chicago at the Music Fest in July. I'm supposed to be in London, England at O2 Indigo with Melba Moore and Alexander O'Neill and Robin S. in September. Though that's been put on pause, when you close your eyes and say, okay, you know what? Though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Because I'm in a place now where it's faith or nothing. And my mama said, if you're going to pray, don't worry. And if you're going to worry, don't pray.
One of the things
Wow.
one of the things that I've learned is it's called be prepared for a rainy day. And a lot of people have not set their goals for what I call a rainy day. This is a rainy day right now. Like you said, we all have to start writing, start thinking, start meditating, start praying a little bit more. It's wild that we sit back and just let things just be. We just constantly keep running, and don't. We know the industry. We know it's going to constantly change. You know the industry. You got to start setting up things. If you're nasty to people back then, who you think going to pick you up right now? If you nice and good to people, those people will always be there for you. That pillar will always be there. So I turn around and look at this industry as like it's a slap in the face. How about this? I was working with an independent company. They love Michael Mazon. They love Heart Attack. And then when the big company came and bought us out, they said, oh, we're going to hold on to you because we don't want you to go nowhere. You are golden ears. And then a couple years later, bam. Oh, we decided to go a different direction. Right now, this pandemic is what we call a different direction. Did we set ourselves up for that rainy day? Did we set ourselves up to move forward, to have that goal? And you're right, D-Train. It's you got to sit back. God is talking right now. And he's telling all of us where to go, how to get to. We jump in our own light and stop things when we should be sitting back and he's guiding us where to go. And I'll say this other thing too. My head was bobbing because we have what we don't have a lot of avenues in our division. We only got 2. Urban AC. We used to have jazz. Now that jazz has basically faded away. They haven't brought those avenues back up. But what we do now is find out, let's see, well, you're right. Teddy came into the light. LA and Babyface came into the light. Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis came into the light. Timbaland, Pharrell, and, Swiss Beats. Now we got all of them that's in the light now what happened to? Where we going with this? Are we going to change our sound, our style to fit supposedly this new thing? Prince stayed on his own ground. Michael stayed on his own ground. Yeah, he probably had different producers, but Prince stayed on his own ground. Sometimes you have to sit there and, like you said, pray, but wait. That answer is going to come to you. Go ahead, Glenn.
Well, I think that you're right about that. And I think over the years, you have built a core following, people that love you no matter what. And, fans can be very loyal. And it might not be on the massive scale, which other people, operate on, but it's enough to provide for you and to provide a good living for you. I've, being a musician and being an entertainer is not the first time that I've seen peaks and valleys. It might not have been because of a pandemic. You know what I'm saying, Kurt? But it's not always flowing. I mean, sometimes it's from riches to, rags or whatever. You know what I'm saying? More money, and then the money kind of cuts off. So, that's why I say we live by faith. Musicians are people that live by faith and other independent contracting people. But I choose faith over fear. I'm not gonna panic. God is always taking care of me. I've been in the business for 40 years, man, and did nothing but music. Not work for FedEx, not just anything wrong with that, not work for UPS, but music has provided for me and my family for all of these years. And I've got a strong base, followers and an audience that truly appreciate what I do, and that sustained me. So I'm not gonna worry. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna keep my faith, and like Robert said, write some songs. I've already written a song. I've got a song that I'm getting ready to release from my album called "Trust in Me," which is a very, very inspirational song. And I wrote that song from the heart because I was feeling some things. I was going through some things at that time, and I think it's very appropriate for what's going on now.
I'm going to take you guys in a different direction for a minute. I'm reflecting on an article that was in the New York Times. That article called the coronavirus the brother killer. They flipped the name of it. And they called it the brother killer because it was reflecting the number of African American men that are being affected by the coronavirus. Now, it did break it up. It says, well, you have a section of the population that is incarcerated. You have, these are black men now, a section of the population, black men that are homeless, section of the population that are black men that are dealing with HIV and AIDS. And dealing with those three sectors right now, the highest number of new cases are African American men. So when we look at a virus that is just running rampant through our communities, as men, as our leaders, speak on maybe just some of the things maybe that you're doing to protect your families, or just any thoughts that you have on this particular feature where the gentleman called the disease the brother killer.
Can I talk on something real quick? Oh, go on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say this real quick, what you said about the brother killer. I take care of my mother and also take care of my dad. My mother is here with me in Virginia. My dad is in South Carolina. And the weirdest thing is that the week that everything canceled was I was supposed to take her to her doctor's appointment. But I start looking at the situation at hand in advance, saying, hold on, I want to go ahead and take her to go see this doctor, but she's going to be in a room with a whole bunch of people who are not feeling well. So I called and said, hey, here's what I'm going to do. If we got a problem, I'm going to call. We go to the emergency room. We'll do what we got to do. But she's okay right now. I'm not taking her out. I called my dad in South Carolina, told him, I said, look, Dad, listen, if something comes up, I'm on my way there to get you, but don't go outside. Don't go visit people. Don't let people just roll up in your house because of your age and where you are right now. And I'll say this, both my mother and my father had a stroke, and I'm really concerned about them. So for me, it's kind of like one of those things that I have to take the extra protection and extra caution to make sure two people in separate areas are taken care of. And we talk every day. One thing we don't do is, for men, we don't communicate like we should. That's being point blank. I may get on the phone, laugh and joke, hey man, you all right? Yeah, I'm all right, cool. But we don't really get down to the facts. Because one, it comes to economics. It comes to, can we afford to take care of what we need to get taken care of? And I would say, some of us don't even believe in health insurance, and all these other good things, they like the taboo things. Well, I'm gonna spend all this money and I ain't seeing nothing. I ain't sick for this year. I ain't gonna get my flu shot. These things are stuff that we got to start seriously thinking about. Okay.
I'm going to come at this a little bit different. Totally agree with what you're saying there. But I'm going to come at it a little bit on a historical perspective. And my side is I always follow the money. Okay? And what I've noticed over the decades, and this isn't refuting the information, all I'm saying is I've always noticed that they use us as a poster child of pain to generate funds for things that don't often go to us. I see it in the imaging and the advertising. I see it in the messaging, but they never show our Black doctors. We got 70,000 Black doctors. That's the second largest ethnic group in our country. And we aren't even positioned, if you look at the imaging, the advertising, the TV shows, you see Black doctors showing up helping anybody they may show us helping ourselves, but we're helping everybody. So they always have us as the victim and the poster child of pain. And we got over 500,000 nurses and RNs. Do you see them? Do you see us? I'm glad that the New Yorker magazine finally came out and put a respectable looking, authentic brother on the top of the magazine. We had a brother in New Orleans who just came out with a Black Rosie the Riveter showing our medical people that look like all of us actually doing stuff. So I agree with it, but I always get very concerned when all of a sudden it shifts to us. I'm not questioning the information, but we are often the poster child of pain that generates money. And when they get the incremental millions, billions of dollars, we ain't running those programs. We ain't leading them. And it's not going to our organizations. Just my 2 cents.
I concur. And to piggyback off that one step further, all the ones that are deemed now essential workers, people that work at the Krogers and the dollar stores, are us. The main people that they don't want to pay a minimum wage to are the main people now that everybody needs. And they still don't want to pay them a decent wage. And because, that's, and like you said before, and we kind of dealt with the exact same thing years ago. We did a situation, did a USO tour. And it was kind of like the exact same thing where the poster child for the military, and when we went on these USO tours, we went to Iraq and all that kind of stuff. And we kept asking the troops, hey, what do you want, us to tell people back home? They said, just represent us. Because a lot of times what happens is once the brothers and the sisters go out and clear the area up, then when the cameras come in, they put the white troops out there and have them following them. But but the coast is clear because we're the ones that are already clearing the way. And it's kind of like the exact same thing with this. The most essential workers right now are people of color, but we won't see that. The main people that are protesting on ignorance ain't us. We trying to stay home.
So let them have their rally. Let them have their rally.
Yeah, go drink that bleach if you want to.
Hey guys, let me jump in because I got to share this with you. I just saw this pop up on the Facebook screen here. It says, "Look at this panel and this forum. Would this occur if they were all out on tour and just that quick and lost it?" But I think basically what that person was saying, that this is God's way of bringing information to us. This is God's way of getting us all together to hear some very important information from people that are out there that have a powerful voice that can share information that we need to hear. Because he's saying otherwise, you guys would be on tour. You guys would be in the recording studio. You guys would be somewhere else. You wouldn't be collectively as you are here today. And I just saw that comment and I just had to stop you and share it. You can go back. I'm gonna step back to the fellas.
I gotta disagree with that, and the reason why I say that is because I know, like personally, I know me and Glenn, we talk all the time.
Yeah.
I know Glenn and Howard talks all. First of all, we already know the music community a lot of times is smaller than everybody thinks, and everybody knows each other and everybody communicates with each other. And even going one step further, just like with you, Johnny Walker, you put on all kind of forums all the time. We always communicate. Now, whether they choose to log on and get the information, not that's on them. But we always come together, and we always try to share knowledge. We always try to share blessings. But a lot of times, because a lot of people now they've had to stop, like D-Train said earlier. Now a lot of people have to stop and notice. But everybody on this panel has interacted with each other at one point in time. in some kind of way, and at the same time share their information with the youth, share their information with other people in the industry. It's just now people are just starting to log on. They say, oh, Johnny Walker's now she has a face. She always had this form.
So let me share with you. I've been on a couple of conference calls relating to the article you were talking about, Johnny. And it's from major consulting companies. I won't say their names, but you know them all.
Right.
And so I'm listening to them present that they're highly concerned about this COVID virus taking out Black people. So I go online and I look at all these major, and we're talking multi-billion-dollar corporations or consultant firms that are paid billions of dollars by our government to do assessments. And I started asking, I look at their partners. Because I'm like, well, if you care that much, then that means your company must have plenty of us. Plenty Mexicans, Blacks, everybody. Because what I always try to do, and I try and teach people, because I only teach you what I do. I swim upstream. I look at who's writing the article. I want to find who the editor is and who the producer is. Because that tells me the soul of what their intent is. So these people are making money now. I'm talking about the researchers. Are making money off of this. This is a new revenue stream for them, because if they cared, we would have been, I'm not just talking C-suite, we would be up and down inside those organizations on the business side. And we ain't. And I even posted some questions, and I actually had some people have the nerve to come back and say, well, do you think it's because Black folks can't hold positions at consultant firms because they're not intellectually strong enough? In the same conference call that they're talking about Blacks being impacted by this virus. So be very careful. I'm not saying refute the data, but be very careful of people who hang this hat on this stuff, because a lot of companies they're looking for revenue and they're going to jump on this. Now, I'm not saying they shouldn't, but if they're going to jump on it, we got to figure out, because you're talking hundreds of billions of dollars here, there needs to be some of us in that. And I'm talking about whether it's you all writing the theme music to their commercials, their missions, their background stuff. You got to put your mind around that, because we got to be their conscience. Because right now, if we're not their conscience and in that room, they're just going to, again, ride off of our pain. And the results are going to be the same.
Funny that you say that, because I looked at when Bill Withers, rest in peace, to turn around and turn on the television and a commercial has other than, and then we just squeak us in there in between just to justify that, hey, this is a urban artist, Black artist. Let's get back to the program. I stood there and I was like, I was shocked how quickly that music was released. And it went on a commercial, but it went to other than us. And I'm really kind of take me, because I can say this, Godson, I know you're looking and writing with your pen, but I'm gonna ask you a question. When you watch the same, hey Godson, you're looking at you there?
I'm talking to
Okay.
you, Jay.
I'm asking the question. Did you see the same Walmart commercial that I was looking at? And realized that was Bill Withers. Lean on me.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. My family members walking in and out of the camera.
Gotcha.
I was trying to tell them
Just
that.
want to make sure you connected. The thing is
Yeah.
that it shocked me when I saw that commercial, and I stood there and said, whoa, wait a minute. Then I waited for another commercial. Whoa. It's you're right. There's not enough of businesses looking at the real thing of us. I ran the club, several clubs, and I watched the club owners tell me, Blacks don't buy wine. Why would you have a wine night? Wine and cheese night. I said, we buy bottles of wine. So who told you that? So I
You
turned
gave
around
me an
and
opportunity to advertise. This is Black Stallion wine. It is owned by a Black family. Next time you talk about food, I'll talk about Airwalk Farms. So any more advertising?
Yeah, but I'm seeing this as a fact of, we have to. I'm that type that likes to prove them wrong. And that's what we always do in music. We prove them wrong. They get these big, huge budgets to put this one artist in a studio, all these venues that they can go to. We just got the Chitlin circuit, the small market circuits to go to. The small venues where we can go to is in the urban music. But they got a vast of where they could go. We only got 2 formats now for our music. And the way that things been going, that format has now incorporated gospel into that format. So it's interesting to sit back and look at how the change of the landscape has been going, but there's still a place for D Train, Glenn Jones. There's still a place for those artists, and no one is actually sitting back paying attention to it because they constantly keep changing it. You know, there's no more Quiet Storms out there. They're gone. You know, tell me where you can find one. You probably 1 or 2. But the thing is, with the formats that's out there and the music that we got out there, we're putting out great music. Music that's standing on legs forever. D-Train, your song. I can sit back and just go back to that song, the slow song that you made.
Keep
yes,
on.
The slow song that you made. Yeah.
Oh, the slow song.
It's a slow song that you did, and
You're the reason.
You're the reason. That
Yeah.
song can, if you sit back and cut off the light and listen to that song can have a grown man crying in the middle because of the way you sung that song.
Thank you.
Listening to Glenn Jones, I've been searching. Here I go again. Those songs again will touch a grown man. So when I look, where are they now? Now they're already sampling Raphael Sadiq's song for Ledisi. Wait a minute, Tamar Braxton is already singing Whitney Houston song. Crazy Kind of Love for her song, which is Saving All My Love for You. Flipping the script on this music. Give me some creativity. Give me that bone.
Michael, what I would say is like, we've been often imitated but never duplicated. So many people come from us, but they won't come to us. And now they won't even come through us because they feel like, well, if D-Train or Glenn Jones wants to come back into the industry, they need to come back through Alicia Keys, or they need to come back through a John Legend.
Right.
I don't need Alicia Keys. I was here before she was born over there on 46th Street. I know her godparents. So I'm not going to kowtow down, and I'm not trying to say this to the young people, but I'm not going that way. I've learned from my teachers, from the Billy Ecksteins, from Prince, from Michael Jackson, from those that I've worked with, from Glenn, from Genovia, his wife, whose album we recorded Hubert and I, we did a song on her album, who is a fabulous singer. If y'all ever hear Genovia sing, you might get the Holy Ghost. But anyway, I'm just saying, and also the same what Brother Robert was saying about the money, follow the money. I've learned and rebuilt myself over and over again through diversification. When I left the music industry, I got into the jingle industry, and I learned how advertising works through McCann and Erickson, Saatchi and Saatchi, and doing black advertising. The difference between black advertising and white advertising, all the black advertising was cigarettes and beer commercials. Cool cigarettes, Valentine beer. They never gave a black advertising agency any Sears and Roebuck's commercials. Didn't happen. I did it for 20 years. Now that we're at COVID-19, Sirius Radio has just started, because I do voice imaging still for the Groove, Channel 50. I stayed at Sirius Radio for 8 years with my own show, one of the top shows on Heart and Soul 51. I had the #1 show on Heart and Soul 51 on Sirius Radio from 8 years, 2001 to 2008. And I learned how radio, it's run by the good old boys down there in Texas. Sirius Radio is run by the good old boys. They're run, and they believe in the car circuit, NASCAR. They believe in NASCAR. They took away all the black channels. They only have 2 R&B channels, maybe 3. But they got 80 different kinds of white music, from the 60s to the 70s to the 80s to the 90s, a blues. So, I mean, there's so many different types of rock and roll. I can't even remember it. Elvis has his own channel. Why doesn't Michael Jackson have a channel? Why doesn't Barry White have a channel? They were great. They had just as many hits as the Bee Gees. So what's the problem? Now that we're in COVID-19 and their numbers have slipped, the demographic has slipped, the money's going away, their stocks are down in the toilet. They just came up with a Prince channel. For the next month, you can listen to Prince on channel 30. That's what I'm saying,
When they
brother
have
Rob.
pain, they always come back to us.
They got it. When it goes down, it comes back to us. So now we
They
got a
got
Prince
pain, they
channel,
like us.
channel 30 that they're figuring now that he's dead and they're doing all these things for him because Prince has had more, memorial concerts than Michael. And I feel working with Michael and being in the studio with him, I felt that it was critical in some ways of black people because we as black people, had he had lived, nobody would have went to a Michael Jackson concert. Nobody would have bought the new album because we still viewed him as white. But the day he died, everybody lined up in front of the Apollo Theater crying with posters of I Want You Back albums, the ABC album cover. Michael turned black in about 3 minutes. And they still suing him after all these years, and he's 6 feet under the ground. But that just goes to show you. And these white people suing him. And they're giving him television documentaries on how to sue a dead black man who's been in the ground for all these years. So like you say, follow the money. It's all about money. Because what happens is if we don't teach ourselves how to use money and the language of money, because money is a game, as artists, we're not taught, okay, you got this album budget, you need to invest this much, pay your taxes on this much, and do that. Put some in the stocks, put some away for a rainy day. Like you said, Brother Rob, we don't learn that. We're like, okay, like you said, Kurt, my next gig is coming up in September. So I got the September gig that's going to pay for this. October going to pay for that. But you need to take the September gig and split that up into 3, even though we don't want to because we're spoiled, because we know it's coming. But until now, we always knew it was coming. Now it's not. So now what do you do? And that's why I say it takes us back to our true essence of who we are, because now you got to create off the cuff. There ain't nobody, and your back's up against the wall. All of us, your back is up against the wall. Who's got your back? We got each other's back. The only thing I can give you is a website to go to sign up to do music online where they would look at you, called soundbetter.com, which is where people go to do jingles. If you got a voice and you can sing, they'll look at your music, they'll look at your voice, and different jingle companies and record companies around the globe will look at you and say, oh, wow, Glenn Jones is offering up his voice. Oh, crap, let me see if I can get him. And you leave your rate and everything on this website. Your profile is called soundbetter.com. I think that a lot of times if we're going to show the problem, we need to offer the solution. For me, a lot of times, the solution always comes down to the dollar bill because it's not about who we are and what we've created. It's what we leave behind. My grandson is in the other room screaming because he want to come to his granddaddy. Okay, fine. But what am I going to leave him when I'm gone? What type of legacy did I leave him? What type of legacy did I leave my children? Because it's not where you go. It's not where you come from. It's where you're going to. And I tell the kids every day, if you don't know where you come from, you sure don't know where you're going. Because I had to learn from the history of Billy Eckstine. I had to learn from my daddy taking me to the Apollo Theater on Wednesday night to see James Brown and the 5 Stair Steps in Cuba. Even though those names are insignificant to a lot of young people these days. If you don't learn about how Clarence Williams wrote those songs and Isaac Hayes wrote those songs and Curtis Mayfield wrote those songs, you can't borrow from our history and try and create a future. You need to listen to the history and learn how to write a chord, learn how to write an A major 7, learn how to write a G chord, learn what it is to move from one chord to the next and not just press a button. Because at that pressing the button, it becomes insignificant. It's like a guitar player saying, I got a bunch of samples over here. Let me go through these and see if I can sample me some guitars. Oh, wow, that sample sounds good. You become lazy. And our country has become lazy. They're taking us backwards to the Stone Ages. We've gotten rid of every record store in America. We got rid of Sam Goody. We got rid of Sam Ash. We got rid of all the stores, music, all that music. 48th Street in Manhattan is a ghost town. They even tore the buildings down so you can't even rebuild a new music store in there. And now we're taking all of our bookstores and places of learning and destroying those and putting them into a Kindle. And I tell kids this all the time. So young brother, if you're listening, I know you are, tell the young people out there, the D-Train said this, you can't autograph a download. You can only autograph my album. You can only autograph my CD, but you cannot autograph a download. Downloads are insignificant. They're in digital spaces where we don't have nothing to do with it. And that's my word of the day. Press me.
Let me give you a quote since you said
Down,
that.
what you say? You cannot autograph a download.
Can't
Let's go to
autograph
Jay
a
Hardy. Jay
download.
Hardy, are you picking up any gems? Picking up any gems, Jay Hardy?
I actually had a question about that. What can we
Okay.
do as young people to try to stay involved in the culture? Because, like, obviously, convenience is king, and they push the technology on us, and they push the you should read everything on your laptop, you should stream music. What can we do to stay invested in the culture?
I would say, from what I've seen, real quick, I'm sorry, Kurt. I had to work with the Boston Pop Symphony Orchestra from 2015 to 2017. And it was funny because this is a true story. I got a call in the middle of the night from a brother named Morris. And he said, D-Train, I need to talk to you. I said, yeah. He goes, Prince wants your blessing. I said, Prince who? He said, D-Train, Prince wants your blessing. I was like, this is like Jesus talking from the mountaintop to Moses. So I said, well, yeah, okay, well, tell me got it. And then what happens is they were going on George Lopez to do the final George Lopez show on the air. And they were singing You're the One for Me. And Prince wanted to sing You're the One for Me. And then he wanted to do it for 21 nights at the LA Forum. I had no idea. Deeply honored. Yeah, brother, go ahead and do your thing. And I'm like, Kurt, I'm like, I ain't up there with Prince. I ain't nobody. Go ahead and do the doggone thing. So he went up there and he did it. And he did a great job. And he turned the song into a samba. If you see it on YouTube, you can watch it. What you can do is research your history. If you know a place like, oh man, there's a clothing store in Manhattan that sells clothing, but they have albums in the front of the window. There's stores that are like cultural stores where in the village, wherever you can find an album, like even at a flea market, find an album because the albums are tangible. CDs are tangible. You can put your hands on it. You can touch it. You can feel it. I didn't take that picture so you could download it. I took the picture so you could get me to sign it because I look good on that cover. I bought a suit. You know what I mean? I combed my hair. Well, anyway, but I would say try and get in touch even online with your history. Learn who Otis Redding was. Learn who James Brown was. Learn who, even in the digital realm, download that to your iTunes library if you can't find the album and listen to it and learn from it because there were chord progressions that Miles Davis and those guys had in jazz that Marcus Miller took into funk world and made it into Never Too Much. And Luther Vandross wound up getting a hit off of Marcus Miller, learning from Miles Davis. And, you know, my blessing, Miles Davis called when I was doing Something's on Your Mind after we finished it. It's a true story. Don't you tell nobody, young man. And he called up and he's like, J. Trace, it's Miles. Yeah, I want some publishing. I said, you want some what? He said, I want some publishing. I'm going to do your song on my album. And he did my song on his album, Under Arrest. And I said, I ain't giving up no publisher. You didn't write nothing. If you write something, I'm cool with that. But Miles, I love you. And what Miles did so that he could have some publishing, Kurt, is that he wrote an intro and an outro and called it Miles 1 and Miles 2. And that's how he got publishing on his album for a piece of Something's on Your Mind. Go ahead, Glenn. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, man. That's a great story, man.
No, but I think it goes back like what D-Train was saying and what Robert was saying and what Mike was saying. One thing that happens with our music, Black music, is two things. There's being a trend and then there's being a trendsetter. And what I mean by that is we are always the trendsetter. We are always the creator of the situation. We're always a trendsetter. Black music has always been, you look at through the history of time, Black music or Black people have always been the trendsetter. But then what happens is they will take what we create and then they make it the trend. You know, Elvis was the trend. Right? And I'm in Memphis. Y'all know I'm in Memphis and I love Memphis. I love all things Memphis. Elvis was the trend. But the Black folks that he hung around was the trendsetters. Right?
Yeah.
Chuck Berry and Fats Domino and all, so yeah, they call him the king of rock and roll. Not the creator of it. Right? But so that's why there's a difference between the trend and the trendsetter. And every form of music now has always been created by us. And D-Train, you said something very, very, very important. And all you guys, I know Glenn can attest to this. One place that we always go that they appreciate what we do is overseas.
Overseas. Right.
Overseas.
Absolutely.
One place where vinyl is king is Japan.
I was gonna say Asia, absolutely.
Oh my God!
They got the soul cafes. They got the soul cafes over there in Japan.
I'm telling you, and to this day, they always play vinyl. Their DJs play vinyl. You know, you go
They're
there.
also into gospel. They're big in gospel in Japan too.
They're into everything, and everything black.
Everything black. Everything.
Everything black.
Asia, mainland Asia also.
Trust me, the first time I went there, I think I might have been like about 22 years old. And I did not know by the time I had landed in Japan, there was a couple of obscure records that I had recorded on. They had them. Saying, could you say, this is you? They're like, this is you, right? I'm like, where'd you get this? I don't even have this. Yeah. And they're like, and they're like, can you say, because they do their research. On top of that, they appreciate what we do, and they recognize the creators of it. Whereas, unfortunately, our situation, and then there's a documentary out there, if you can find it. It's called "Before the Music Dies." Check it out. Before the Music Dies, and basically, it was talking to people like Bradford Marcellus and all these different people, and they were saying how you got to look at the situation. Earth, Wind, and Fire is one of the greatest bands of all time. But Earth, Wind, and Fire would not get signed in today's marketplace. White bands can mimic Earth, Wind, and Fire, and they get record deals all day long. But the Black Earth, Wind, and Fires would not get signed in today's marketplace, because they figure, okay, now we got the format. We see what they're doing now. We know how to do it. So unfortunately, we don't own the radio station. We don't own the companies that dictates from the media standpoint what is being played, what is being seen, what is accepted. And like I said, they always have their focus groups. But most time when they have these focus groups, we ain't on them focus groups. They try to justify it.
It's always been like that. My first experience with signing a major deal was with RCA back in the early 80s. And that was when they had two different departments. They had a pop department and they had a Black music department. So when you came with a pop record or a white group, then the Black department had to work that record. It was mandatory, particularly if they had the potential of crossing over. But when it came down to a Black artist having a record with that crossover potential, they did not demand that the pop department work the record. It just wasn't going to happen. They wasn't going to spend the money. The budgets were always smaller. Even my first publishing deal, and I was an artist, I had a record deal, and I did a co-publishing deal, but they weren't going to give me the same money that they would give a new young white guy for being a songwriter. They just wouldn't do it, man. So it's always been that way.
And that's a problem. Somebody can come right now. When Glenn Jones puts out his record, it's a great record. At the end of the day, it's going to be a great record. But the problem is a white guy or someone that's not us can come back and mimic Glenn Jones
Yeah.
and saying, I've been searching, show me
Boom.
in
Yeah.
you or
Yeah.
whatever. And will be singing Glenn Jones record and singing Glenn Jones riffs.
Right.
And they used the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
Perfect example.
Wow.
I always,
Well,
I always felt like in the industry, there's what is called a duplication of what has left. There was In Vogue, then it went to Destiny's Child, then it went to now these new artists. The funny thing I'm gonna do a Johnny Walker story real quick. I'm sitting in Johnny's office, and Johnny says, "I have a record I want to play for you." So Johnny put the record on, and she brought and it was the pop department that came into our office. Johnny saw me go bonkers over this record. I'm saying something crazy, the word bonkers. I took my shirt, I flipped it in, I started voguing in our office. I said, Black radio gonna touch this Lionel Richie record. And Johnny said, but it's Lionel Richie. I said, Lionel Richie's pop. This record is totally pop. But let me back up and say this. It's funny how Casey and the Sunshine Band, it was the band who made Casey and the Sunshine. Yes, Casey wrote some great hits, but now that new Casey and the Sunshine Band is Bruno Mars. So when you turn around, you look at the difference of where things were. Who was dressing back in the day with lace on? That was Jody Watley. Oop, now that's Madonna. Oops, now that's Lady Gaga. Oop, now that's Nicki Minaj. You got all these people, and they don't pay homage to none of these people. They don't go back and look at the research of where it started from. People just look at what's today, what's popping today. And I always call this thing microwave music.
But don't we have?
Okay, Rob.
I want to pick back on something real quick.
Rob, I'm gonna let you make that comment, but what I want to say is, I mean, we could be here. You guys are incredible, absolutely, and we would be going on and on and on. But I want you to make that comment, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to start doing some closing comments and wrap up. But go ahead, Rob.
All right, I'm all about cha-ching and the money. How do you make it? Again, follow the money. So if they are mimicking us, there are plenty of opportunities for us to do the same with their music. I mean, we've had people take a Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton song, you know it, and do it in an R&B style or do it in the other style. Here's what I've learned. To me, a product is a product, the service is a service, the audience is an audience. Who is your audience and how big are they? And some of that determines how much money you make. If you only want to go after 1 million people, that's only how much you can go after. If you want to go after another segment, go after it. Until we start flooding that, I don't say lose your soul, but until you start flooding the other side, you don't know if you can be denied and you don't know how much money you make. Heck, I'll make a NASCAR jingle if there's some cha-ching in it. You know what I mean? I'll take a rock song and maybe dress it up or maybe even do a country song. It may not be you, but you could write something that maybe somebody do. And you know what? Even go under another name so they don't even know that you're a brother. Business is business.
Well, I'm going to say something standing on the outside looking in. I think it's really important for us to understand that we have to support the music. We have to support we don't just have to follow whatever is popular. I mean, it's like we don't really, in my opinion, like I said, it's been a while since I've been in the game that you guys are talking about, but we just don't support our artists. I mean, we don't support the music. You know, it's just whatever the fad is, like you were saying about the trends and the trendsetters, is whatever is hot now. You know, we stopped telling stories, but the country guys are telling stories every day. They go get 3 black sisters and black sisters give their songs a harmony and put the melody there, and now they got a hit record. We sing about 3 things: sex, we sing about cars and jewelry, and that's the record. I mean, nobody's telling any stories now. And I think that that's one thing, and again, my opinion, I think it's one thing that's missing is that the stories are gone. Like you just said about, I've been searching. Well, nobody's singing songs like that now. And then if somebody were to sing those kinds of songs, where is the audience that supports them? And then, and like you said earlier, we don't have we don't own the radio stations, but it's really not about the radio stations now. Everything is on. You can go on the internet, all these internet radio stations and what have you. Support the artists and the creators of the music. Then the music will flourish. we'll just sit back and not. And so if whatever they feed us, they feeding us gaga, they feeding us whatever. Get 2 or 3 strippers and let them be half naked on a video, and that's the hot song. And they feed that to us continually. So that's what's hot. And if we accept that, then that is what's hot. We gotta set the bar for what we are willing to accept. We gotta set the bar for the music that we want, and not just be so, oh, this the hit song. Not a hit song. Ain't nobody. I haven't heard Just Be My Lady. I haven't heard a song telling the story, no song that brings me in. Teddy Pendergrass, close the door, turn the lights off. And that's what you wanted to do. You wanted to close the door and turn the lights off because you knew what was coming next. He didn't have to say it in any lewd way. He didn't say it in any ugly way. He just said, close the door, turn off the lights, come in. He said, come here, woman. You knew. So I'm just saying, I just think that, we need to support the art form. We need to support the artists. We need to support our culture. Stop being fed. We just take in whatever they feed us. This is hot. Really? That's what's the new song. Really? And it's and if you also, and I'm gonna shut up because I know this is the guys panel, but it's like, look at none of our artists, look at the artists that are touring, like a Glenn Jones, because you're gonna get a show. There's going to be entertainment. So any of these other people, why are they not touring? Because they can't do a show. You can't do a show on 2 tracks. You got 2 tracks and that's the show. They don't have a catalog. They don't have music. And even if they had a catalog, we don't know what it is. So, and they haven't been trained. They haven't been trained to do a show. So that's something that might be a challenge that I might put out there. Jay, when you were saying, what can I do? Like he said, you can learn from the elders. They know how, especially for shows and things like, and when the shows come back, who's doing them? We probably got to hope that Shaka Khan and Lakeside and Confunction, OJs, I guess. Who's doing the show? Because they can't do a show. They can go in the studio and make a song and take it to the powers that be, and the powers that be force feed those songs to us, and that's the hot song. But I guarantee none of those artists are doing tours. None of those artists, if you go on the Tom Joyner cruise that you were talking about, Kirk, the unsung, any of that, and those tickets sell out pretty fast. Who's performing on those cruises? Who's performing? They know. Who's gonna give them a show?
It goes back to what we said earlier, as the good thing is social media has kind of started to level the playing field, because now artists are able to find their own audience, as opposed to like years ago, record companies, they determined, they were in charge of finding your audience for you and things like that. So social media's helped that. But it goes back to, once again, and I've been blessed to be, in my opinion, part of 2 groundbreaking tours that to me were like, everybody started following the trend. The first tour we did, it was one called Just the 4 of Us. And it was Glenn Jones, Howard Hill, Phil Perry, and Tony Terry.
Yeah.
4 guys all together, one band, and they were basically one was singing a song, they were singing a song together, and people were like, what is this? Next thing you know, Glenn, stop me if I'm wrong, all the white acts started doing the exact same thing.
Right.
Then we had another one called United with Funk All Star. It was a band version. Function, Barcades, Daz Band, SOS Band, and Charlie Wilson, right? One band, I happen to be the musical director for both those situations. Next thing you know, after we did it, Chicago, then Chicago and all these other, they said, hey, let's get one band and everybody perform each other. Then you had but the problem that we had with it was, after we put it out there, they started going in and saying, let's copy this. And like Robert was saying, the problem was the big corporation would give them the money after we've already given them the template. That's the problem that we have. Because a lot of times we know we're going to do it better, It's just a lot of times we don't get the the sponsor dollars to put it out there in that way. That's the biggest problem for us a lot of times.
Well, guys, this is like going to school today. It's like class. It's like we started out coronavirus and ended up teaching people the music business. And it's like, the other side of it is, it's like when you're having fun and you're really engaged, the clock, the time goes really fast. I think if it's anything that I'm going to take away from this session today, you cannot autograph a download. I'm not gonna forget that. Listen, let's do closing comments so we can wrap it up. Believe it or not, guys, we have been on an hour and a half, and I know that Glenn got another session tonight. You guys got other things. I'm so appreciative, and thank you so much for taking the time out to come and share your wisdom. You shared some real gems, and I hope people were listening. I hope they were taking notes, and I hope they really, really got something out of the information that you guys shared. So just anyone that would like to start, let's do closing comments, and we'll wrap it up.
Well, I just want to say it was a privilege and a pleasure to be a part of this today. And even, beyond, giving my comments, I sat here and I learned some things from you brothers, and I appreciate you, man. And like I said, I'm going to base my life off of faith instead of fear. I know things are rough right now, but it will get better. We got peaks and valleys, Kurt. You know how this thing goes, man. And we've been doing it forever. So I just want to say everybody be blessed. I hope we've been able to share some encouragement to people looking at this and give them some knowledge. And for the young man, I wish you all the success in the world.
Thank you.
I want to say, oh, you were going to talk? Oh, okay, you go ahead.
You can go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, I was just going to say thank you guys and NABFEME for having me on here. To my brother Glenn and all the gentlemen at the round table, I say, and the ladies that are with us, Miss Johnny and Miss Cynthia, I say it's about a collective order. You know what I mean? And I say to you, like Kurt was saying, we have to go overseas. And I hate to say this, we need to go where we're appreciated and not tolerated. In America, we're tolerated. It's almost as if we got to beg somebody to hire us for a gig. I ain't begging. I was here when the game started, and I'm going to be here when it ends. God grant me life. So I'm going where I'm appreciated and not tolerated. Go over there and look at the faces of the people who appreciate your art, who appreciate your smile, who appreciate your music, and is going to treat you the way you should be treated after being in this game for 35, 40 years, and follow the money. Don't lowball yourself. Make sure you ask for the right prices. Because ain't nobody going to give it to you. You got to go and say, I want this, I want that. And make sure your riders are correct and make sure your money's tight. And once your game is tight and your team is tight, you just go over there and do what you do. I mean, Glenn sings high notes that I wish I could sing. He sings them in his natural, and I'll be sitting there going, every time I go to a Glenn George concert, I get pissed off. I be getting pissed off.
Something's on your mind, brother. That's my song. Something's on your mind.
Natural voice. What the world is wrong? I mean, wanting to take off my shoe. I was like, man, take my shoe. Let the brother know I'm in the audience. But it's been a blessing to share with you, brothers. And always remember, now the power is in our hands, young man who's listening. It's in our hands totally because we don't have radio stations that control us. We have Spotify. We have Facebook. We have YouTube. So if we learn how to get our social media game together, we can become better because social media is God now, okay? In this music industry, social media is God. You need a good social media person and you need an excellent publicist. The reason why people are on Jimmy Fallon, because they got a good publicist, is $1,500 a month. Do you want $1,500 in gear or do you want $1,500 in publicity a month? That's where the money rolls. And once you're on Jimmy Fallon, that'll sell enough record for you because doing the mathematics of this thing, if you only sell 10,000 records at $10, that's over $100,000 in your one record, in your one recording. So when you look at the numbers, they're economically a lot smaller. If you got, I got 5,000 Facebook friends. If I sell 5,000 album at 10, you know what I'm saying? It comes up to $50,000. There go my COVID-19 money. So you just have to realize where you are and how your powers and your strengths, and you need to act on them. I have this new thing that I leave on my wall, and this is my last word of the day. Decide, act, commit, succeed, repeat. Decide, commit, act, succeed, and repeat. Do those things, and you'll always be successful.
I just wanted to say thank you for all of you guys sharing this knowledge. I kind of came into this expecting to listen. I got a few pages of notes here. And it's just good to be able to get this kind of wisdom and have all of this elite companies to be in the same place to share the knowledge that you guys have. And like I said, it's kind of difficult to connect the new school to the old school because everything is so digitalized nowadays, and they kind of want to forget about the old school. And like my grandmother was saying with the music, it's not even, they're not even trying to say a message. They're kind of just trying to make a hit. They're trying to become famous. It's not even about the artistry anymore. And I just think it's important to try to stay grounded in the culture and stay grounded in what started this trend, as you guys said. So yeah, I'm just fortunate to be a part of this, and thank you guys.
Jay, before you go, will you please tell them where you're going this fall and what you're going
Yes,
to be doing?
I committed to Howard University. I will be studying history and political science.
I'm so proud of him, as you can see.
I got y'all going to DC. I thought he was coming to me. Oh God!
He came down there and visited you, but he was always going to go to DC.
Gotta go to DC now. But you know what? I'm gonna say this. I don't believe in microwave. I think microwave is too quick, and it's not giving you the real study of the craft of the music. And we have to start looking at, like you say, you want to find the music, you want to find the old school to the new school, or try to bridge it. Just go back. Glenn Jones was on Unsung, and it was like that story that they told was one of the things I sit there, I look at because I was in the radio at the game at the time, and I said, yep, that happened. Yep, I know that what happened. And those stories, Unsung is not about the sadness of an artist. It's about how the artist, what he went through traveling through their journey, the steps. You can't follow the steps, but you can gain something off of it. And people don't understand. When I sit back and listen, I was like, wow, I was there. I was at WIP during that time when Glenn Jones dropped his first album. I was over at 103 Jams when Glenn Jones dropped this other record. And I take those things because I remember when D-Train came out. I was a little kid jamming my butt off. You're the one for me. When the beginning he did that acapella and the keyboard hit, and all of a sudden, boom, I'm losing my brain. I'm the fan of music. I'm the fan of the culture. I'm the fan of everything. Yes, you got to keep up with the digital world. You can't sit back and say you're not going to keep up with it, be the dinosaur. My thing to you and to anybody is a plaque that I have that I'm looking dead at right now, and it says, never, never give up. You're going to get a lot of no's in your life, but you never, never give up. Put God first, you win. Put God first, you win. So again, my last words is never, never, never give up. Thanks, Johnny.
Well, what I was going to say, spinning off of what you said, but first of all, NABFEME, thanks for having me on, and I look forward to everything NABFEME will do going forward. I think what you're doing is a continuous value add, and I look forward to your 2021, possibly in Toronto, where you guys actually had your first international event, and I'm glad you also have a footprint in Africa. I totally am so glad to hear all you gentlemen. It is rewarding for myself, even though I'm on the business side. I write, but I don't write what you all write. But it's very encouraging to see. I view musicians as the ultimate entrepreneurs, and I think a lot of you undersell yourselves by forgetting that, not you all, but a lot of people forget that you're an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? Actually, a serial entrepreneur. Also, as a young person, I think we should remind them that not everybody's going to be on a stage. And if we want power in the industry, we need, hey, when I go to concerts, I don't see us on the music board in the sound system. So those are good jobs too. So we have to remind people that it's not just the stage. There's a lot of other stuff we can be a part of. But the top line things I would think of, Jay, that I think of, or and the rest of you, is it's just my career. I always, it's about curiosity and it's about choice. You can't control chance. Curiosity. If you have curiosity, that's why I say I always follow the money. I follow the backstory. So when I get something, an article or something, I go, who wrote it? Why did I write it? And what do they get from it? And then when I look at the images that they use and they use us as a poster of pain, then I go, well, why aren't we a poster of like the positive? So it's about owning the narrative. So another thing I heard that the fellas said was diversify. I heard somebody talk about they worked at FedEx and they still did the music industry, or they diversified with various, whether it's commercials or whatever. When you diversify, it's a part of your playbook to help get through some of this stuff too. So anyway, I wish all of you the best. Follow the money, listen to the message, but know the messenger, and you won't be fooled.
I just want to say, once again, you guys may not know, but I say it all the time. I call Johnny Walker Boss Lady. I always call her Boss Lady. That's my nickname. We've gone through a whole lot of stuff, and that's another whole nother story. But once again, like we were talking about the trends and the trendsetters, this situation right here is the trendsetter, because I guarantee you, somebody's gonna see this, and I hate to say it, but we're gonna see our counterparts. All of a sudden, they're gonna be on CBS or NBC. You mark my word, and they're gonna say, "Oh, we got this going on," and I be doggone. But once again, you know, I want to thank Johnny and NABFEME, and I hope and pray that there's not a NABFEME, you know, in NAW, that pop up after this. You know, you know what I'm talking about. You know, National Association of White Females. But once again, a couple of things, and Robert touched on it. We gotta always understand that, and history has always proven, the black dollar is the most powerful thing in the world. The black dollar, when we spend it wisely, and when we spend it correctly, and when we spend it knowingly, it's the most powerful tool in the world. You know, number two, Jay, know your worth. Know your worth. You know, because trust me, you have more to offer than you may, you know, already know. And the last thing I say in any seminar or meeting, I always say, and I say this even to my class, and this is one of, you know, my quotes to them, and this is trademark pending, your talent gets you in the door, but your attitude keeps you in the door. That's the main thing you got to understand. All right. And Johnny, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this. I appreciate you.
Okay, see, you know, you and I, we go all the way back to the telephone call from Japan. I'm at home minding my own business, taking care of my business. Kurt called me from Japan. Hey, I got a job for you. That's how I got to Memphis, all right? But I want to.
I'm sorry.
New York, minding my own business, okay? But anyway, I want to thank everybody. You know, one of the things that we did not do today, two things. This seminar was created to empower. I think we've done that. To share information, we certainly have done that. And hopefully inspire. And I do believe we've done that. We also created this Love Unquarantined to raise money for a lot of the individuals that we know that work with us. Could be the DJ, the MC, the self-employed individuals that we were talking about earlier, that we know the cancellations and the closings have really put a stress and a strain on them. So we created a fundraiser. It is, I put my sign up there because I tell everybody I don't know how to work the chalkboard feature in this program, but my sign tells it for me. It says GoFundMe.com/NABFEME. That's our fundraiser. GoFundMe.com/NABFEME. We're taking the money that we raise And we have a form on our website where you can go to our website at nabfem.org and you can complete that form. And we're gonna, whatever comes in, we're gonna turn it right back out, because we want to help those people that we know, number one, have helped us. Many people that have performed on our shows, emceed our shows, DJ'd at our shows or our events or what have you, and they did it to help our platform, to help like you guys are doing this afternoon. And we want to give back. So that's the purpose of the fundraiser. And a word I learned from Kurt, it's going to be favorite nation. Whatever, if the increments are $100, that's what it's going to be. We're not just qualifying anybody's level of need. It's just, if you complete the form and you need assistance, everybody will get the same thing. Bottom line, that's just what it is. This actually wraps up the Love Unquarantined series. We may come back a little later on and maybe do a part 2. I've just been looking on the comments over here, and they're like part 2 when we're bringing the guys back. So we definitely are going to have to do a part 2 of us ladies supporting our brothers and taking you guys and putting you on our platform. I want to remind you one more time about the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. You can find it on your state's Department of Labor. Go to your state's website. There is a link there for the Department of Labor. You go there. That's where you can file a claim. If you are a self-employed individual, that's where you can go and file a claim for unemployment assistance. Okay? Again, it's called the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. It has a name called the CARES Act 2020, and CARES stands for Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security. And if you get a 1099, you are eligible to file a claim under this program. My two colleagues, LA, Delaware, do you guys have any closing remarks? Because we're about to wrap this up.
Yeah, I just want to step in and first say thank you to our rocks. You guys are awesome and solid as a rock. I mean, you gave so much information, like I had to take notes myself. And Robert, when you say follow the money, you're right on it, because every webinar that I've been on since COVID-19 says the same thing: follow the money. And communication, and just having the power in your hand and actually exercising your power. And for me, it's just being a change you want to see. So if you want to see something done, you have to get out there and start it, and then the components kind of come together with that. So I think that's amazing, and I'm never ever going to give up. But I do want to say to some of our viewers, normally we give the questions for you guys to answer, and we didn't get a chance to do that part. But I want to shout out a couple of people, if you don't mind. We had watching with us today Erica Eiley, Roberta Radovic, DJ J. Wright, Tracy Lewis, Felicia Wright, Bliss Young, Ramona Hardy, Deidre Davis, Zena Brown, Kenya Katie Ann, Cheryl Foster, Kim Sanderford, Brenda Vaughn, Tracy Lewis, Gail Phillips, Tanya Howley, Gigi Holden, Vernon House, Capricio M. Skates, Jeff Adams, Big Rob, Bonita Deborah, I believe, Valerie Fullilove, Billy Bowles Jr., Ashley Scott, and I also saw Matt Guru Makers.
Yes.
So we just want to know that we love you. We appreciate you tuning in. And I'm sorry I'm not able to name everyone on the feed, but we just want to know that we do pay attention and we are watching.
Okay. Before you go, Cynthia, Kurt, that was Big Rob. Big Rob said all of y'all go download his music and listen to his new CD. Big Rob, what's up, bro? Okay, Cynthia.
That's my dude. I'm on that record.
Okay. Okay, Cynthia.
I just want to thank everyone myself. I want to say that I'm normally not speechless, but you have made me speechless today. I'm going to say that I know you guys can sing, as they say, but you can really speak as well. In speaking television, folks where have those listening ears, as my home must be. So you just made me listen. I just wanted to listen, and that's what I did, and many of our viewers did. and I'm replaying some of the things that you have said in my head. I had my pencil out to start writing. I couldn't even write because I didn't want to miss anything. So interesting. There are some other shout outs. I did see Avani Hart, Larry Snow on the line. I saw Sheila Faye, just some other folks, and many musicians I saw from here on the East Coast that were on. Toby Johnson, folks that just really shouting out to you guys and saying this is really interesting. I'm going to tell you, it's way over 200 comments that came in. So I guess you know that we cannot go through all of those. So it does warrant for a part 2. I'm hoping that you'll come back. Robert, we know you've been our rock, but you guys, we hope that you become a part of us as our rocks. We need you. Yep, this is a ladies organization, but there's times that we need you, and we do want to sit back and listen. And and James, I just want to thank you. And Johnny, you remember that cup of coffee. You're always there. Johnny and I were together, and within 5 minutes you were there. You said, well, I'm around the corner. I'm going to come and buy you guys a cup of coffee. You're always there for us, so we thank you. Michael, thank you for spinning the records. Kirk, thanks for just bringing people together the way you do. There's words for people like you and I, we're called connectors. Glenn, you've always been a brother and always accepted my ideas, and when I didn't know they were great ideas, I thank you for that, for all of that encouragement. Carolyn, thank you for being a sister. And Johnny, thank you again, always, for the organization and allowing me to be a part of the organization and a part of this really important broadcast. You guys, I'm asking you to give to our organization. If you are listening, you guys, Johnny held that GoFundMe up one more time again for us, you guys. This money that we are raising are going on to some folks who, again, they can't, they don't have a job that's going to give them that instant unemployment. If you guys there know someone that we should give $100 or $200 to, just even just to keep a light bill on, even if it's you, please let us know, because this money is not going into NABFEME's pocket. This money is going out to support the artists of folks in the industry. So I just don't want you guys to think we're keeping a dime. We're asking your help. We continue to give. Johnny's giving out of her pocket. She's almost closely matching almost to what we're giving here. So I don't want to sound like a beggar, but I am asking so that we can give. Thank you so much, Johnny. Thank you guys.
Okay, Robert. Yeah, we're gonna do that conference, baby. You know how we do. So we're gonna do that conference 2021. We just hope COVID-19 figure out what it's gonna do so we can rock that boat. Heart Attack, Michael Mazone, thank you so much. Always been in my corner, been a NABFEME Rock for a very long time. D-Train, cup of coffee then, cup of coffee tonight. Thank you so much. And Eric K.C. Clayton, what can I say? Well, that'll be another call. That'll be another whole meeting if we sit here and talk about. Glenn, wow, thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of our evening. And to my grandson, I don't want to embarrass you, but I love you so much. I am so proud of you. I am so excited for the journey that you are about to undertake. I know you're going to be fabulous. You're going to be an incredible student and an even more incredible attorney. So I'm looking forward to you handling all of my business, okay?
Wow.
This has been amazing. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for your support. You can find us online at nabfem.org. And we told you gofundme.com/nabfem. If you just want to drop us a blessing, you can Cash App us, $NABFEME. We are a nonprofit networking empowerment resource base for women in the business of music and entertainment, but we also support our brothers. As you can see, they support us. So at the end of the day, all we have is each other. But we got to take care of each other. I say to my brothers all the time, though we are a women's organization, you cannot spell women without those last three letters. MEN. That's why we need you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you. I love you. Good night, guys. Thank you.
Good night.
All right, good night.
Nice.
Good night. And Mr. Hardy, thank you.